The boys are back once again, and it kind of feels like we need to take a little break after such a magnificent Masters week. This is the No BS Golf Show. Your boy Brad Thomas here with Chris Mills, and we are going to talk all things golf betting. But before we get into it, we have to recap the Masters. Probably one of the best Masters tournaments I've seen because we got a playoff, baby. We had Rory McIlroy complete the career Grand Slam. We had drama from day one all the way until Sunday night. Money Mills, how's it going, my friend? How was your Masters week?
Good, man. Good to see you. A roller coaster of emotion, I would say. That Sunday was pretty crazy. I think that when he finally broke down after winning in the playoff, I think he let it out. He said it was 14 years or 13 years in the making, but I think just the roller coaster of the day. Like you think
Yeah.
here he is, he's easy win, he's giving it away, and then he got it back. Right, that shot on 15, amazing to 3 feet. You think he's tapping in for eagle, misses. Then he has a putt on 16, misses, and then he sticks to the
Yep.
2 feet on 17, makes it. Honestly, I think he was just so nervous he needed a 2 foot putt in order to actually make a birdie.
Yeah.
But yeah, just an amazing week. Sadly, I did have Justin Rose for a bag, but it was probably one of the first times where I actually, didn't cash, where I was okay with it, I
Yeah.
guess, because that was history. And like, I think now, watch out for Rory, man. Like I've seen some books open up. Can he complete, the full Grand Slam this year? And I don't know if that's crazy. Like with that monkey off his back, he could go nuts the rest of the year.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if he went nuts at all. Like, literally, like, it's so hard to just say that Rory, kind of chokes it away. He's not a closer, not a killer, but it's so hard to win a major. Now, hard to win a major with all that pressure on you. Now that pressure is gone here. So shout out to Rory. Yeah, it was an emotional day for me too. I had Rory, and obviously we talked about Rory on the boost. I thought it was mandatory that you took it.
Yeah.
So shout out to everyone who did listen to the show and did take Rory and cash. We also live bet Rory. We live bet Rory in the Discord, and it was dramatic because it felt like there were multiple times Saturday and Sunday where I felt like I made the worst bet I possibly could. And I was like, because I started to hear the media. I started to hear the noise of Rory can't close. Rory can't get it done. And I'm like, no way they're freaking right, bro. No way. That shot on what 13 on Sunday, egregious, right? Like
Couldn't believe it.
you have the entire back of the green with the backstop and you leave it short into the water. But
Yeah.
Roy himself admitted that he's like, this was the most difficult tournament because on Sunday I had unbelievable nerves. And that
Yeah.
was to start the round. He actually said the double bogey settled him in more. But then when you have that 4-stroke lead going into 13, I think that's when the nerves really start creeping in. Like, oh my God, am I going to get this job done? Shout out to Rory. Shout out to anybody who backed him. Like, this for sports is so impactful, so phenomenal. So I'm really happy there.
Yeah. I mean, you look at just the last month in sports, right? Ovi passes Gretzky, which is, once in a lifetime. I don't know if
Yep.
that'll ever be broken, but now you have, for the history of golf, you have a sixth man who's won a Grand Slam. Like it's a big deal. And I mean, credit to him because then that's really tough to get that last one, given the history, given the chokes, given being able to overcome chunking that. Honestly, a 20 handicap could have hit a better shot than Rory
But
did.
easily. I'm saying I was telling my friends, I'm a double digit handicap, and there's no way that I'm leaving that short there. Like, there's
Yeah,
absolutely no way. Like, and I also do think though, like, uh, you know, teen handicaps often are golfers who are smart enough to play golf, but sometimes make the wrong decision.
right.
But that's normally comes off the tee, right? Like that normally comes where they're losing strokes off the tee or on approach from like 150 and out. Rory McIlroy is one of the best golfers in the world, playing like the best golfer in the
Yeah,
world. Whatever you have going on, you have to tell yourself that you have that bailout.
yeah,
But the same thing happened on 18, right? Like
yeah,
125 yards
yeah,
out. Um, long left is fine. You give yourself a two putt, then you leave yourself in that bunker. And it was just like, I think it kind of felt like he was in between two minds. It
yeah,
felt like he didn't know if he wanted to hit that shot the safe long left, or if he wanted to go for the pin, which ends up leaving it right every single time because you
Yeah.
overcorrect. So,
I mean, we don't need to go into it too much more, but that was one of the most drastic changes in odds that I've seen in a long time. He was minus 2,500,
oh my god,
and then he chipped it in the water and went down to minus 200.
that's
Big
absolutely
swing, big
insane.
swing.
Well, let's move over and let's talk about the RBC Heritage. I'll give a course breakdown as I always do. Par 71. They're playing Harbour Town Golf Links in Hilton Head, South Carolina. It's a 36-35 front and back. Yardage 7,213. It's not super long. It's
Yeah,
actually a course where you play a lot of target golf, a course where you club down a lot. This course is POA Travalis overseed on the greens and the collars, and as well as the fairway and the rough. Well, it goes to perennial rye overseed in the fairways and the rough. Average green size 3,700 square feet, second smallest on tour, only behind Pebble Beach. Um, there are 22 acres of fairway, 47 acres of rough, 51 bunkers. Um, about midway, I'd say midpoint. Not a ton of bunkers, but not a very small amount. 18 holes with water in play. Um, this course, I just think like you want guys who are just 6 second shot golfers.
yeah,
Um, 6 second shot golfers, really good around the green. When you think of like some of the best golfers that have not the best, but like some of the past champions of this tournament, like the Scotty Schefflers, we can even go with Jordan Spieth or guys who've performed well, are just guys who just, and this is Jordan Spieth before this year, but guys who hit in the fairway and really good second shot. And if they struggle, they can get up and down, no problem. I also think tournaments like this really leave the door open for other guys. It leaves the door open for those shorter hitters, for the Brian
yeah.
Harmons to kind of equalize. Like I initially, I was going to be on Russell Henley. Like I was so excited to be a bet on Russell Henley until I saw it was 25-1, and I was like, or 22-1, whatever it was. I was like, I can't really get there. Russell Henley is a guy who wins maybe once every 3 years. You think you want me to bet him to win twice in 1 year at 22-1? It
Yeah.
was hard to pass. What kind of golfer are you looking for? Do you wanna add any other nuggets about this course?
No, I think you summarized that really well. I think there's a handful, and we've discussed this previously. Like, there's a handful of courses every year where everybody can compete. You
Yeah.
can't overpower Harbour Town, right? You have trouble left, you have trouble right, small greens, protected greens. So it's going to be fairways and greens, and like honestly, whoever can putt is going to be there on Sunday. Um, but it's an interesting week. So because it's a signature event, right? There's only 72 guys. So I had trouble when I was looking at this board. I was having trouble finding some value. Like you said,
Yes.
me. There's some other guys like Berger. I mean, there's guys that I liked, and in a field of maybe 140 guys, maybe the value would be there. But it's just because it's a signature event, because there's less guys, there's just no value. So I think I'll probably hold and see how things go, and kind of see how round one shapes up. But again, you're going to have your horses for courses. There's guys that could miss 6 cuts in a row coming into this, and as soon as they show up at Harbour Town, they're going to be there. So those are the
Yeah.
guys that I'm going to have on my short list.
This is like that the perfect kinda course for horses for course, and,
Yeah,
like, when I was looking at my model, and I was, like, looking at it, honestly, like, the model doesn't build out to have those guys on this list, just because I think the model when you build out a model for this course, you're so like exact, right? You're like, oh, we want guys who hit fairways, we want guys from this bucket, we want this, we
yeah,
want that. And when I look at the model and I'm like, well, that's really just pretty much every golfer in the field, right? Most of these golfers are going to be either a number one, they're hit the ball so long where they're gonna have to club down and make sure they hit the landing zone. Number two, they're a shorter hitter who's already really accurate off the tee, and it's really hard to model out this course. I didn't model it too much last year. I just kind of felt like Scotty was going to win this last year. It was really stupid. I don't know if we can get to Scotty, right? I don't know if we can
yeah.
get there at 4.5, right? 4-1. I don't even know if we can get to Colin Morikawa at his price. So then you start looking a little bit further down the board, and there's some guys with some intrigue. So speaking of which, let's get into the outright market and go ahead and give me a golfer that you're going to bet on.
So I'm going to give a flyer, and I'll start there with my long shot. And what I would probably do is ladder this. If you can find, top 40, top 20, you're going to get decent value. This player has 7 career top tens. Tied third in 2022, top 20 in 2023, didn't play last year, but fits the mold and has a great course history here and having a bit of a sneaky good year. Like we
Hmm.
don't see him on here, but he's only missed one cut in 7 events, and he's sitting at plus 15,000, 150 to 1, and that's Matt Kuchar. This is
Matt
probably
Kuchar.
the only one of the only courses where he can actually compete still. Again, length off the tee. He's a fairway finder, fairway and greens. He's got the longer putter with the arm lock. Again, it's just going to be a sprinkle on the winner, but I really do like him in the place markets because if you can find it, it's going to be pretty plus odds.
I'm like looking at Kuchar and thinking about courses that can play a little bit easier, or I guess a little bit shorter. And you like look at some of them, and those are the courses where he's gaining on
Yeah,
approach. The courses like the Sawgrasses, the Valspars. He's not really a gainer on approach because he's approaching from so far away. Uh, it's funny because I can't remember the name of the tournament off the top of my head, but the last one he competed at was really, really similar to this course, right? And Matt Kuchar was competing because he was hitting driver every single hole.
yeah,
So while golfers like the Scotty Schefflers and I'll just use Rory McIlroy as an example, even though he's probably not in the field. Even when those guys are having to hit 2 iron, Matt Kuchar's hitting driver, so he's actually going a little bit further than him, but his dispersion on his driver is more similar to Scotty's dispersion on
yeah.
his 3 or 5 wood. So it makes a ton of sense why at a course like this, you target Matt Kuchar. I'll go with my first one, and I have this weird obsession with betting on Patrick Cantlay. It's weird, but when I come to think about it, I
Yeah,
don't overdo it, but everywhere Patrick Cantlay is a course for horse or horse for course, I plug him. I don't even think twice about plug him. Patrick Cantlay in his last 3 starts, T3, solo 3, solo 2.
yeah,
That's his last 3 starts here. So then
yeah,
it makes me, like, question, how's Patrick Cantlay been doing? Well, it's been a mixed bag, right? Hasn't really been in the mix since Genesis. Was in the mix a little bit at the Players and kind of ejected. I think it was that round 4, he couldn't putt for crap. For me, with this tournament, man, it's gonna be a constant theme throughout the entire time we talk about this. The results weren't super heavy for me. I wasn't results driven, even though the next golfer I'm talking about does have a win on the season. I wanted guys who were blistering it on approach, basically like their last 5 blistering it on approach, because that's what's gonna be really important here.
yeah,
Patrick Cantlay, Genesis 3.5 strokes gained on approach, API 3.2, the Players 2.4, Valero 5.6, and the Masters 3.0. He was just really terrible around the greens, but Patrick Cantlay, I don't bet him at the Masters. He sucks at the Masters, right? I bet him. I think I bet him in like a head-to-head market. Like, that's about it. That's about as far as I take Cantlay at the Masters. So, I got him at 19, ish to 1. I played that for anybody wanting to know the book. I played it on Pinnacle and on Cloud Bet.
yeah. I mean, for me personally, Cantley drives me crazy. I hate watching him, but when it comes to betting, you kind of have to take the emotion out of it, and that's just a smart bet because there's people that are around the same number for him to win, and
Yeah.
he is so much more valuable in this position with this course history. And that kind of takes me to my second pick. And again, I don't love the number, but everybody kind of has a lot lower value this week than we've seen, for the last few months. And I'm going to go with a player who has really good form, this year in general, but amazing form at this course. He always shows up first round, so I would suggest plugging him for first round as well. But just for overall winner, had a bit of an off year last year, which was super surprising. But the previous year had a third, previous year top 10. 2019, he was third. He's got three top 10 finishes, including two top fives, and that's Shane Lowry. You
Mr.
can get
Lowry.
him to win, I think, first round and to win about plus 3,000. So I'm probably going to be on both because if he's going to be there on Sunday, he tends to start quick on Monday, or sorry, on Thursday. So first round leader as well as winner Shane Lowry.
I love that you said that because Shane Lowry was on my short list of guys who are just blistering the ball right now. And Shane Lowry, let's talk about the last five with the caveat on the Masters. So last five, I might think I might do last six. Cognizant, 5.5 strokes gained on approach. API, 2.9. The Players, where he couldn't hit a freaking drive in the fairway, still gained 7.8 strokes on approach. Was that the hole in one tournament? Maybe. Valspar 3.98, and this one's really remarkable. He gained 1.6 strokes on approach at the Masters while having a dreadful minus 3.9 strokes on approach round in the fourth and final round.
Yeah, he
Shane
struggled.
Lowry's tearing the cover off the ball. And I mean, even some of his results so far, he finished T3 at the DP World Tour Championship. That was at the end of the PGA schedule, the DP schedule, but I still count that as a swing season. Second at Pebble, seventh at API, and
Yep.
T8 at Valspar. And I thought Valspar was actually one of his better performances because he was tearing the cover off the ball, and his putter wasn't cooperating, and he still finished inside the top 10.
He's definitely been struggling. Like the 6.7 at the Players is incredible. But
Yeah.
if you remember, he barely made the cut, and then he came out on Saturday and put up an
Yep.
amazing round. But round one and round two, I think he only made 24 feet of putts in round one.
Yeah,
Like
he couldn't
he
putt
could
for
not make
anything.
anything. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not much of a Lowry backer, but he was definitely on my short list. I think my problem with Lowry is, like, first, I'd rather just bet him overseas,
yeah,
and number 2, like, normally overseas, his price is better, which is
yeah.
weird, like, in comparison to the field. I'll go with my guy. I'm going Mr. Victor Hovland. Again, I was on him at Valspar, and I thought Innisbrook, not from a length standpoint, but from a demands standpoint or was really similar, right? Like, you wanna hit fairways, and then you really wanna be good with your second shot. What's funny is this is another course that's gonna demand a little bit of skill around the greens. Victor Hovland wasn't great around the greens at Innisbrook, but Rick Rungood said this, and I was like maybe said this like 3 or 4 years ago, and it resonates with me every time I think about a scenario like this. He said it in one of his shows, and he said he was like, "It's like a course just like this where around the green play is really important, and but if you're relying too much on your around the green play, you're probably not winning the tournament
Yeah.
because you're gonna have to hit greens. You're gonna have to make birdies." And that's pretty much what Victor Hovland did at Valspar, right? Like he wasn't great around the greens. His putter freaking got hot. He was killing it on approach and he won the tournament. He's
Yeah.
40 to 1, right? Even Victor Hovland, who pretty much probably should have been out of it at either after round 1 or round 2, still found himself in the mix by round 3. He ejected late in round 3, but that was when that wind picked up and you had to play 16, 17, 18, which were playing crazy difficult. And yes, he struggled down the stretch, but still was 4 under on that Saturday round. I'm going Victor Hovland. It's another thing too. I was like looking at the price of some of the guys around him. Sung JM, yeah, right. Jordan Spieth, not in this form. Aaron Rye, I don't think Aaron Rye is going to win a signature event. I do
No.
like Step Straka this week, so I'm not talking trash, and I do like Daniel Berger. But my caveat on Daniel Berger, for me personally, is when I started my research, he was 65 to 1, which is a really tough pill for me to swallow to do half the odds on somebody. Which that's the and I love Daniel Berger here. I have his profile pulled up because I'm pretty sure you're probably going to bet him, and I'm going to talk about him in greater depth when you give your breakdown. But just Victor Hovland's price at this park around with the guys around him was something I couldn't pass up.
Yeah. I totally agree. And I might hold on Burger. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's there Sunday, and if I don't fire on him at 40 to 1
You're gonna be
even right
pissed.
now, I'm gonna be
Yeah.
like, I talked myself out of it because I didn't get in on it early. But this is a guy, again, he kind of fits the mold to this course, and he's shown signs of brilliance this year. Like, honestly, I really think, I mean, I'm happy Highsmith won, but he arguably gave away Cognizant as well, right? He was there. Like, he was
Yeah.
the guy. He was the only guy that's really ever got it done, up there on that board, and he kind of just folded. And he doesn't hasn't really done too much since, but amazing course history. He fits the mold to this. His ball flight, is perfect for the way that Harbour Town is built. Very similar to what you said around a Kuchar. Berger's not the long guy off the tee, but he's going to be able to hit driver and three wood where the other guys are hitting irons. So he's going to rely on his accuracy off the tee, but it's going to allow him to have 9 irons, wedges where the other guys are going to be laying back. So I think his proximity is going to be extremely strong this week,
Yep.
and I think he will be there. I just have to be okay with betting him at 40 to 1 now, knowing that he started a little bit higher than that. Um, but one question I want to ask you, and I guess it's just because he's a little more wild off the tee, but how does a guy who just won a few weeks ago, beating Scotty Scheffler in Minwoo Lee, his numbers as high as plus 6,000 this week? Do they just figure this is not the course for him? He doesn't have the history. Like, I feel like that's a little disrespectful for a guy who's been pretty strong this year.
My problem with Minwoo Lee at a course like this is he has no chill.
Yeah,
He It's not that he can't go get the job done, and it's same thing as reasons why I don't think he's ever gonna win a green jacket unless he changes his the way he plays, but Minwoo Lee, it even happened in his round. Actually, I was talking about this, at the bar. We were talking about hitting Minwoo Lee at the golf tournament. Like, what was that, Houston? Um,
yeah,
he does this. He when he was at that par 5, and yes, the best line is to take it over the water there, but when you have a multiple stroke lead kind of finishing up a tournament in long and going left doesn't hurt you. That's normally what 90% of successful pros do, but Minwoo Lee is just such an aggressive player.
yeah,
You can't be that aggressive here. Here's a course that's gonna require you, especially if you're Minwoo Lee long, require you to club down. I don't think Minwoo Lee thinks like that. I think Minwoo Lee wants to be as far down and as close as possible. I think he's only played this course one time, and he wasn't terrible, but it kind of bit him in the butt when he played, on, Friday. He couldn't hit a fairway because he wouldn't club down,
yeah.
and that's just my only problem with Minwoo Lee playing here.
Yeah, and I think the odds reflect that.
Yeah.
I also think that, if he, for whatever reason, does smarten up and play according to the course, and he starts fast, that number is going to drop drastically, like very,
Yes.
very quickly. So maybe someone to keep an eye on early on
There
Thursday.
there's a guy who I was gonna bet on, uh, and I legit thought his number would be like 80 to 1 after missing a cut, then finishing, 50th at the Masters, and that was JJ Spawn.
Mm,
But I mean, with that back-to-back history, I can't quite get there at 60 to 1.
yeah,
But he was an intriguing guy. I was really excited to bet him.
yeah.
Um,
He's a good guy first round, man.
Very good
He's
first
one of those
round guy.
guys that, his proximity, his iron game, when he's on, he is on, and he
Yes.
likes to start quick. So not I really like that. And given that he's 60 to 1 to win, he's probably around that number first round. Keep in
Yep.
mind there's only 72 guys. You get hot, I mean, you can be at the top of that board pretty good. You're not going to have that typical flyer like a random guy that's going to put up -8 and then +6 the following day. Like, you're probably gonna recognize the name on top of the board following round 1 for sure.
Yep. I agree. Let's move over into the placement market, bro. Um, I don't know if I sent anything over. I hope I did. Okay, good. I didn't want to screw straight over. Um, I think I talked about this a couple weeks ago. It's still continued to be a little bit of a bugaboo for me. I have not had success this season in the placement market. Even
Mhm.
at the Masters, uh I went 2 and 2. Um, I barely made money because I had one guy was a plus 160 and the other guy was minus 140 who cashed. So, oh no, I didn't make money. I broke even because I did 1.3 units on the guy who was minus 130. I have been very trying to take it more and more cautious. I'm gonna use a different approach coming up soon, but my first guy, I'm going with Brian Harman top 30. Um, 4 out of the last 5 times he's come to Harbour Town, he's finished inside the top 30, right? 2022 didn't get the job done. He had a fantastic round 4. He's coming off a win. He has a win this season. He's actually been pretty good on approach as well, right? Like that's what I really worry about Brian Harmon. We know he's not going to be a gainer off the tee. The dude only hits the ball like 280 yards, right? But we need him to be a killer on approach, and he's been getting kind of back to his older numbers. I was actually pretty good. 288.5 is his exact number this season, off by 8 yards. Sorry, Mr. Brian Harmon, I shortchanged you. That's more Matt Kuchar, who's 280. But I like Brian Harmon. If he can, if his driver's just remotely there, like that's what we need from him. He's going to be a lot like a Matt Kuchar, a lot like a Daniel Berger, where he's going to have a short iron in, which is really nice.
Love it. Yeah, I honestly can't say anything about that. I think that he should be there, and I'd be surprised, honestly, if he's not. He's, his ball flight, obviously, as a lefty, I think actually benefits him at this course.
Yep.
So I think that's a really nice play. One number that I was surprised about, he's not going to win. I just don't see it. I think he's going to win this year in a smaller event, but he's playing so well that he's actually playing with the big boys this week instead of being in Punta Cana. And I'll just read off some stats for you. So he's played 10 events this year. He has one missed cut, and he's already
Okay.
made $1.8 million. He has, in his last, let's say, 2 events, he has a second place,
Okay.
and then he has a ninth place, and then a couple stinkers, but then he has a top 20, top 20, top 25, and that's Ryan Gerard. And
Wow.
you can
Sneaky
get
Gerard.
him top 20 at plus 250. Granted, there's only 72 players in the field, and I guess it's a little bit of a more loaded field, and he's done extremely well at the smaller events. But this is a guy who's hitting fairways, hitting greens, putting great, and he's been under par every single round for the last 4 rounds, right? So Valeri was under par every single round. Prior to
Yep.
that, under par every single round.
At
The
Houston,
guy
yeah.
is putting up numbers and he's looking strong. So for him to be there, I don't think he'll win. You're welcome to sprinkle on that, but plus 20 at a guy who's doing this well this year, I think that's really nice value.
He popped up in my I wanna see where he was at in my main model. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I figured he was. He was 1, 2, 3. Why did I not have the numbers here? Oh, they are. He was 6th in my main model, like 8th in my approach model. Makes sense, right? But what's cool about Ryan Gerard, when you look at these profiles, you see like what's their pathway to victory. I think Ryan Gerard has 2 pathways to victory because he's the kind of guy where if he's not like blistering it with his irons, he's is still going to putt it really well.
Yeah.
At times he's blistering his irons, he's not putting that well. But if a guy who could do both makes them really dangerous, back to back top 10 finishes, I think this is another chance for him to shine. Um, Ryan Gerard, I like that. I'm gonna go with Patrick Cantlay. Top 10 plus 160. Cantlay, we talked about his history. We talked about him in exhaustion. I don't feel like I need to go any further, but if there's a tournament, there's like 3 tournaments that Patrick Cantlay you have to jam here, and this is one of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Totally agree. Are you gonna do Cantley first round too?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so you're gonna just basically just ladder him everywhere, and if he shows
Yep,
up, you're gonna get paid.
yep. And
Cool.
if he doesn't show up, we live
Just
to
what
fight
it is.
another day.
Yeah. So I'm not going to do another placement, but what I'll do is one of the matchups that's available on Hard Rock, if you're a Hard Rock better.
Yeah.
It's again because you've already brought up Cantley several times. There's a market where you can go Cantley over Thomas for minus 110.
Ooh,
I love that
that's really
because
nice.
Thomas is all over the place. Could he come out and play well? Yes, but he's so wild off the tee, and you can't be wild here. Like this course
You
can
can't.
you can make doubles and triples and BOB and unplayables very quickly on this course. And I just think that Justin's game is a little bit too out of control. And given Cantley's history, given everything you've already said about him, to get him at basically even money to beat Justin, really like that this week.
Patrick can't let I mean, Justin Thomas, my problem with Justin Thomas is I don't know if he's disciplined enough.
Yeah.
right? Because I think and this is not the same statement you would make of a Justin Thomas, like, a few years ago, but I think he's so desperate for that first win like, the last few years where he is like, "I'm hitting driver here. Like, I need to be aggressive. I need to be aggressive." And then what happens is he goes and has, like, a really bad round and then has to have a bounce back round. Like, if your driver's not working, right, like, stop pressing. And I don't know if he's the kind of guy who, uh it's messed up. I almost exited out of the page. I don't know if he's the kind of guy who's just gonna put the driver in the bag and know that if you hit 5 wood here, you're still gonna have 150 out and you're still gonna be really competitive.
Well, Justin's been that guy where he's the one that calls the shots,
Yeah,
right? Even when he had Bones on the bag, like maybe he listened to Bones a little bit, but it's always been he's like a Mickelson where he calls the shots, right? He's like, give me
yeah,
my yardage, let me know what I need to do, what does the screen do, where do I go? But ultimately, it's his decision, and he's always been that way. Where you have a Jordan Spieth, who again, it's also his decision, but he talks through it with his caddy, with Michael Greller, right? But now he has got a new bag man, right? He's got Max Homa's old caddy. So I wonder if maybe that experience or that relationship can help him a little bit.
yeah.
Uh, and we'll see this week because it is going to force him to change the way that he normally plays. But like a Minwoo Lee's, very aggressive. That's his state. The way that he approaches the game. But I just think it's a much safer play going with Cantley over Thomas this week in 1v1.
Yeah, I agreed. I really like that. Let's go to the first round leader market. Or do you wanna give it anything else
No,
before
I'm
we
good. I'll give out first round after you.
first round leader, I'm going with Patrick Cantlay. He's 25 to 1. And I'm gonna be guys, so normally my first round leader board is anywhere between 4 to 6, depending on odds. The odds this week, I have to go with 4. So I'll give 2 here and I'll give 2 in the in the Discord there. But Patrick Cantlay, enough said. I've beat this man to death. I'm just taking him always. If there are a tournament where he's gonna go out there and play well, where Cantlay's another guy too, where even though he's not short off the tee, I think he's so confident in his driver that he's hitting driver a
Yeah.
lot more than a lot of the guys in the field.
Love it. Also, we didn't start off with, discussing Rose. You hit a first round leader again last week, and we
Oh
said
my
10.
god, yeah. Holy crap. I totally forgot I hit Justin Rose last week. We should have talked about that. Hitting Justin Rose, another first round leader. And what's so funny about Justin Rose is like the chalkiest of chalk bets you can make was 60 to 80 to 1. I
Yeah,
could not believe it. Justin Rose was the first round leader bet I put in because I couldn't beat it. We were talking about me and my buddies were talking about betting Justin Rose on Thursday of the week prior. After who do we lose? Keith Mitchell? After losing Keith Mitchell, we were talking about betting on Justin Rose at the Masters. Like,
yeah,
and how did the books like we were literally talking about a week in advance. The books are just gonna be like, all right, go ahead and have your free money. Like,
yeah, exactly. That was a miss on my part, honestly. I've had Rose in the past. He had a
yeah,
missed cut last year. Didn't really have much form, but it's like one of those things where you just come to the Masters and you find that form.
it's wild.
And yeah, that was a swing and a miss on my part. But and as a show, I think I have what 7 first round leaders this year.
Yeah,
And you have probably just as many. I mean, we have a pretty crazy record. So if anybody's
yeah.
listening,
I think
if
we're
you're
at
going
like
to do
15,
anything, I would
14.
suggest go with our first round suggestions. So love your first round. I think it's a safe pick. I'm going to double up the odds and go with a guy that doesn't matter, similar to a Rose. If he
Yeah.
comes in having missed 10 straight cuts, I'm still going to bet on him first round, and that's JT Poston. Mr. Pete Dye himself. It
Yep.
doesn't matter the form, it's just the history. He just gets in here, and there's something about these courses, and you can get him at plus 5,000 first round. Honestly, I like him. I think he could even possibly win. But he was first round leader last year, shot a 63, every single round under par. He's a guy that could absolutely be there at on the top of the leaderboard come
Yep.
Thursday night.
I like it. I like it a lot, by the way. But I'm taking Lucas Glover, first round leader, coming off the Masters, missing the cut. I think that is fine,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, gets an extra 2 days, not in the thick of it. now can get back to just playing golf without the stress.
Yeah.
Remember, this is Lucas Glover who was gaining a ton throughout the Florida swing. And if I'm gonna keep sticking with the same core strategy of Innisbrook, and of course, if anybody wants to know, you can hit me up on Twitter. I'll send other course comps as I finish up today. Um, it's got to be Lucas Glover, 60 plus to one. And what is his wave? He is a AM PM guy too, which this week, I don't really care that much since the field's so small, but
Yeah.
still really nice to have the AM, PM guy like a Lucas Glover go out there and be the setter.
Love Lucas. Don't forget, what, 3 weeks ago, he was first round leader at the Players,
Yep.
right? He put up a -6, which was incredible. Birdied the last 3 holes to get in the morning wave, which was the hardest of the waves. Granted, we had to split that with Villegas and Spawn that day, but yeah, I mean, this is a guy who's just incredible with his irons, right? He can hit the ball left to right, right to left. Um, Quick player, and it's in 2 balls too. So I think that actually helps him versus 3 balls that tend to take a long time.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, Lucas Glover is an amazing value play this week.
Yeah, man, I really like it. Do you have another first round before we head out?
I gave it out earlier, but just
Okay.
Shane Lowry.
Yep.
I
What'd
had,
you get him at again?
what's that?
What'd you get Shane Lowry at again?
Plus 3,000.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a good number. I mean, honestly, between him and Cantley, I think those are going to probably be your main draws if you
Yep.
are going to go a little bit more aggressive, and then take a Glover and a Poston with a little bit less with those odds. But I think going in with those four, if those were your only four, I think you have a really good chance come Thursday afternoon.
I do too, and I don't really love the longer shots this week. Like the guys like you talked about, Gerard would be a nice long shot. Novak would be fine. Cole would
Yeah,
be fine. But let's be serious. They're all 70 to 1. Like, those guys are 100 to 1 and higher first round leader guys.
yeah.
I know it's a smaller field, but that doesn't change what I think about their pricing. So, that said, dude, this was a fantastic episode. Thanks to our producer, Straight. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you smash the subscribe button, ring the bell, and comment who you think's going to win this event. If you're listening in podcast form, be sure to rate and download the show. For Chris Mills, I'm Brad Thomas, and this is the No BS Golf Show. Take care.